The wait is over. It's time for the hottest sports talk show on the internet. In sports and entertainment, it's grown for Sports Talk with your host, Steve Johnson.
All right. What is going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there today? Boy, oh boy, have we got things to talk about. I thought yesterday after we finished, I thought we were going to be done speaking about, draft stuff and everything like that. And then lo and behold, this morning, all of a sudden, I would say a plethora of media outlets come out with the report, not a story from a standpoint of nothing factual at this time, but the report that Julio Jones could possibly be on the trading block. Now, as with everybody else, I try not to take everything so seriously until I actually see a confirmed report. But of course, when you throw something out there like that and it sticks with the fans and everybody wants to talk about it. So guess what? I'm no different. So I'm here to talk about Julio Jones, a world without Julio Jones. I thought about it a lot today. Of course, listening to different radio shows and things of that nature, you get kind of that true feeling of, oh my God, they are serious. Julio is about to leave. But I look at the pluses in this thing, y'all. Julio Jones is 32 years old. Julio Jones has been nothing but spectacular for the majority of his time here in Atlanta. There's no doubt in my mind, I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the most talented wide receivers to not only put on a Falcon uniform, but put on an NFL uniform. I really believe that. And I'm not saying that just because he's from Atlanta. I truly believe he is one of the best. But when they started talking about the possibility of him leaving, I started to think, why am I sad? Why would I be sad? I'll be sad because I missed the draft, and when he was drafted, I missed the big catches against Frisco. I missed the man catches against Carolina. The catch over Luke Kuechly, the 75-yard touchdown when we needed a touchdown. The man plays against Green Bay during the playoff run. All those things I would miss. But would his situation be any different from Matt? And I weigh it out and I say no. The only thing wrong with these whole situations is that both Matt and Julio have contracts that kind of around us, are tied around us. There's nothing we can do about them right now. We can't. So when there's news that says, hey, maybe a possible June 1st designation, and I heard the number that could save us $15 million. Think about that. That's a big savings. And yes, you lose somebody legendary, one of the greatest players, arguably the greatest athlete to wear your uniform. All respect to Mike Vick. Julio Jones is one of the greatest, no doubt. But at some point, folks, at some point in this offseason, between late last year and now, we're going to have to realize, folks, sometime we're going to have to push that reset button. And it's amazing to me that you hear Just talk about Julio leaving and listen to the fans. Listen to them. Hardcore. Oh my God, Julio leaving. Matt Ryan. Good riddance. That's basically what you hear. I'm not in the good riddance category, but I will say this, folks. You get rid of Matt Ryan, you're going to have some people that are sore. You get rid of Julio Jones, you might have some PSLs being turned in. And I mean that. Because what it'll come back down to, and everybody can say what they want to say. And I'm sorry that you have to put it this way, but that's how it is sometimes. It's going to be very reminiscent of when number 7 left. A choice had to be made. In that case, I understood it. In this case, I wouldn't. And for all of those that are going to come up, but we did Matt's contract and we pushed it up and now we're stuck with, we have to pay Matt. So y'all just going to have to grin and bear it. No, you don't. Any contract can be worked out. Anything can be. This guy, Fontenot, came from the place in New Orleans where every other year Drew Brees was $60 million over the cap. Folks, anything can be done. So the Julio news, not surprising. And as a fan, I don't want to see it. But then as a fan looking forward to the future, I do want to see it. There comes a time when it might be a right time. Probably for Julio and Matt, it should have been right before they signed their extensions. But we caved. I'm going to probably put that more on the Arthur Blank thing. I don't put a lot on Arthur Blank. I'm not like everybody else would say he's the fault of everything that happens in Atlanta. I know he's the owner, but I'm not going to put everything on him. But I think in those cases, this was one of those, hey, you're a Falcon for life. I'm going to make you a Falcon for life. So you pay him like that. Wasted money, I think. And for those of you who want to keep Julio, I saw one thing today and it just blew my mind. Well, let's redo Julio's contract like we did Matt. Right. Redo that contract. And now you have Matt being on $48 million and Julio being on $30 million next year. Because we want to hang on to that feeling. We want to hang on to that 2016 season. We want to hang on to that, throw it up in the air and Julio jump up and get it in 2015. And I'm trying to explain that's over. At some point, we have to look forward. And listen, I'm resigned to the fact that, yes, there might be a good chance that we end up trading that pick out. I understand that. It's business. I get it. But for us to get so emotional in the keeping these guys until their limbs fall off, that's where the good teams, that's where the teams like New England that recycle and kept it going. And for anybody want to say 2021, yeah, one blip on the screen. But if you see this year, New England, we stopped because they're not going to be used to losing for like that. They want to keep it going. And that's what you got to do. Matt gave us a great ride. But it's time. Julio has given us a great ride. But it's time. And if y'all think for 1 minute that means disrespect, that's not disrespect. What that means is while this team is crumbling, while this team, and everybody can put out all the superlatives, but Julio did this when we're losing. But Matt did this, but we're losing. But Grady did this, but we're losing. Somebody had to be brought in here to look at this organization and say, you know what? Y'all not as great as you look. And I'm hoping that's what Terry Fontenot does. Comes up here, put a mirror in front of the Falcons organization and say, you're not as good as y'all look, fellas. Y'all might have lucked up and had a good time a couple of years ago, but you're not as great as you look in the mirror. Well, I take that back. You're not as great. You're looking through rose-colored glasses. That's all I'm saying. Let me go back. I got a couple of comments here. I'm going to get everybody in. Jimmy, what's going on? Jimmy says, I've been saying trade him. Everyone says I'm crazy, but did this happen to Roddy, who scored more touchdowns and was more healthy? Why not Julio? Well, yeah. I think that was a little bit more personal, though, to keep it real, though, Jimmy. And granted, Roddy didn't re-sign. So when he didn't re-sign, of course, that made it look like, he was done. But I think that was clearly personal, something between him and Kyle Shanahan. But that also could have been another case of you're not as good as you look, because once Roddy got released, I mean, he didn't get a sniff. I remember him getting a tryout in Frisco, but nobody else sniffed. Nobody came forward, and Roddy retired. So I don't look at that one. Justin, it's all about the team and not the players, not the Atlanta Julios. I agree. You have to start looking forward. But again, that's the same thing with Matt, folks. That's the same thing with Matt. And I hate to tell y'all this. If Julio leaves this, I'm going to tell you, and I said this earlier to a couple of my fellows. Matt is staying. If we don't get a quarterback, we draft Pitts, and we trade Julio, you're about to default on about 15 to 20% of your PSLs. And not for the mere fact that just about Julio, but the choice. Matt or Julio. You had a choice. You could have let Matt ride this out, and next year his cap wouldn't have been that much. But you're going to make the choice of Julio. And I'm trying to tell you, if you make the choice of Julio, get ready. Get ready. Because as many loyalists as there are to Matt Ryan, I'm trying to tell y'all, Julio Jones leaves this city. Yeah, I don't think you're ready for that. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Justin, haven't just said that I want a first round out of the deal. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the only thing is I think the team I was looking for the most was Baltimore, and I'm not even sure where Baltimore is picking. I'm sure they're in the lower end because they won the division, right? I think they did. So that would have been the perfect team, and they probably would have had some assets we could have used. I would have loved to mess with them, but you can't just give them away. Somebody suggested that you give a second round for Julio. Nah, that's not Sanu. You better give me more than that. You better give me more than a second rounder. Sanu's not generational. Julio Jones has by far over the majority of his career has been in the top 2 or 3 receivers in the NFL. Again, if he leaves today, he's in the Hall of Fame. If they just put Calvin Johnson in, then Julio Jones is already in. No doubt. You're giving away. Even at 32, I think Julio could give you a little. I'm not sure if Julio's a 16-game guy anymore, but I think he can give you enough. Michael said, retirement is doing me by Steve. Loving it. How you, man? Good to see you too, brother Michael. I am happy to see you on there too, my brother. Justin, I don't see 2 first rounders. Yeah, I don't see 2 first rounders. Not 3 years ago, you might have been able to. 3 years ago, pre-extension, you may have been able to, not now. Jay, and I hope that's Jai or Jay, I apologize. Man, ain't nobody safe on this roster. Do whatever needs to be done to get us to competency. I know the word. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Michael says we've had Julio, but the last couple of years he's been off the field. Much time to let him go. Jimmy says not all his fault. The Julio deal was on blank. I said that earlier. I agree. Jimmy, Matt's deal was done Matt's first deal was earned, second extension was too early. I agree with that too. But again, and I said this, I'm trying to think, was it Sunday or last week? If I'm Matt Ryan's agent, what a perfect time for that extension. Remember the timing again. The timing of the first extension was right after the championship game appearance, and the time for the other extension was right after the back-to-back playoffs. So you had two extensions that you had to do, and he had all the leverage both times. First time he had beautiful leverage, 5 straight winning seasons. Come on, man. And then the second time just came off Super Bowl, off of MVP. Absolutely. But you probably extended him too much. They could have waited. And guess what? Had they waited, they may have seen some of the flaws. They may have seen some of the things that we're seeing now and may have shortened that contract up a little bit. Maybe 2 years. Like I said, one of those Drew Brees contracts. 2 years, 47 million or 50 million, and see what happens. When you lock the man up for 4 or 5 years, come on, man, you killed us. And I can't blame Terry Fontenot. And I mean, he had to make a move. He had to free up money. He couldn't sit there and not do anything. So I'm just saying, that's crazy. What's going on, Dub J? How you doing? Billy Ray, what's going on? It's time to move on. But you know what, Steve? This is not a Julio topic. But you know what I like about this regime? With DQ and Mike Smith, we had an ideal of what and who they were looking for. Terry and Arthur, we don't know what direction they're going. I love it. And that is such the beauty, Billy, because I said this, and all the prognosticators, Falcons are going to trade. They're going to do this. They're going to take Pitts. I love the fact that nobody knows what they're going to do. They'll let this thing slip out about Julio. I don't even think they care about that one way or the other, because I don't think Julio is in the long-term plans. But this thing about the draft, whoo, they keeping that bad boy locked in. Because I seen most of the time, just like you're hearing, of course, well, Jacksonville and the Jets probably don't count. But even with this Frisco thing, when you come out with reports and say, well, they love these two right here, it's not as much of a secret. But with the Falcons, they're keeping that thing under lock, man, like Fort Knox. You don't have any idea what's going on. Jimmy says, if Julio leaves, I love it for us. Here's why. Matt would be forced to grow up and throw to other players. Yeah, here's the problem. I don't make the move. I don't make the move. I mean, I would have never made the move to re-sign Matt. I mean, not to re-sign Matt, but to restructure Matt. I would have rolled this year out and called it a day. But I understand why he did what he had to do. No doubt. Twan, if we're going to get rid of Julio, I hope we just don't let him walk. I don't think they're going to cut him. Bartavia says, I'm here in Baltimore. Twan, thank you. Baltimore's picking 27th. Listen, yeah, it's too big of a drop. But again, for Julio, nobody's saying trade to number 4. I'm talking about for Julio. No. What's the drop? You trade, yeah. Julio right now at 32. And remember this, folks. You have to sign Calvin Ridley next year. You got to. His 5th-year option, you must get that contract done after next year, or you're going to see Calvin Ridley take off. And I know this is a receiver-heavy draft, but you better start locking that stuff in now. Julio Jones right now will still get you 1,000 yards and still may get you 60 to 70 catches. But will Julio get you 16 games? I'm not sure if you can right now. And if I'm paying $20+ million for my receiver, listen, things happen. Michael Thomas had the same thing, but Michael Thomas is in his mid-20s. That's different. I'm sorry. That's different. Julio is on the tail end. You can't do that. You got to start looking for the future. At some point, we have to pretend like we care about our future. I was highly disappointed when they restructured Matt. Understood why, but disappointed because you know what? That makes us feel, to me, it sends the signal that we truly are invested in the same old stuff. And even though we have new people in here, they are going to try the same old stuff. Now, again, that's speculation. If they come up in number 4 and end up getting Justin Fields or Trey Lance, I'll apologize today and keep it moving. I'm also on record to say if they draft Kyle Pitts, I'll keep it moving. But I'm going to be on this organization hard. Because for us to sit here and try to reinvent Matt Ryan at 36, it's different than reinventing him at 30 and 31, like we did in 2016. But to sit here and try to reinvent him, you have got to start thinking about the future, folks. Got to. Homer says Justin Fields is the only player in this draft that could replace Julio temporarily. From a business standpoint, Homer, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Even though Trey Lance possibly could give us hope. I think if this organization makes a pick that says we're looking forward to the future instead of looking back, that's one thing. That's what I say. Anthony, as long as Matt's been in the league, I think he gets worse if Julio leaves. That's just my opinion. Well, I'll say this, Anthony. All those garbage yards that we talking about, he did a lot of that without Julio last year. So I'm not going to completely say he would just turn into mush. But you're absolutely right. Because Julio is 50% on his radar, it will make him a better quarterback. Think about that 2016 year. You know what Kyle Shanahan made him do? Kyle Shanahan made him spread the ball around. If y'all remember, we spread the ball around to everybody. Shoot, DeMarco was getting catches that year in 2016. Fullback was getting about 10 to 15 catches. Shoot, they had what's my boy Ty Sambrello out there getting catches that year. Spread the ball around. So yes, it would hurt, but from that sense, it would teach him something. You need to learn how to spread that ball around. Got to. Brother Tidy, what's going on? I say a first and a fourth rounder. And listen, that would be great. So I was going back to when he was saying that's too much of a drop. Again, remember now, if you get a first rounder with Julio, that's a win. Even if the first rounder is number 32. If it's pick 32, that's a win. Had we made this pick 2 years ago, I think we'd be in a better position. But I think you're great right now. I think that's good. Lisa, how you doing? I'm tired of hanging on to all these L. Whatever change is needed to turn the tide, so be it. I want the Falcons to start winning again. And I think that's the main point. I know, Lisa, you're speaking for probably the unheard, probably the majority that don't post and talk every day. I think everybody would be down because what we've been doing the last 3 years is driving ourselves crazy. Every December for the past 3 to 4 years, we sitting around talking about next year. When will it stop? At least if this year we got somebody new or somebody to change the trajectory of what we're doing, I think fans would be patient. I think if we drafted a quarterback this year for he'll sit on the bench for 2 years behind Matt. Says who? Again, if Matt come out there and lays an egg and he's 0-3 or 1-3 and 1-4, what do I have to lose as a brand new coach in the NFL? You know the greatest thing Bill Belichick did last year? He paid Cam Newton to come in there and be the starting quarterback. When Cam started throwing interceptions and looking bad, he put Jarrett Stidham in real quick. though he didn't do much either. But he's not afraid to make that change. When you see your quarterback is not performing, I want that coach to be able to say, you know what, you might not be on this game. Let me put him in here and see what happens. Especially if my quarterback is 36. And I'm sorry, y'all. 36 in football years is close to Social Security. And if we want to keep sitting here and pretending like one piece is going to make Matt a winner again, if I see this quote one more time, if Pitts come in, we'll have so many weapons. You've had weapons in the last 2-3 years. The same weapons have thrown you. Again, for those stat mongers, he's thrown for 4,000 yards all these years. So throwing the ball around is not his problem. But just to change the vibe, change the atmosphere. That's what the kind of stuff I'm talking about, y'all. It's not about that. I mean, this is just crazy. Berta Justin said, let's not forget how much he'll clear off our cap, Matt. And I'll crush it. Listen, and I heard about that again. If he's a post June 1st designation, and I forgot the guy that came on Sirius NFL Network. And he came on and said that would count $15 million. $15 million, folks, for somebody who's been halfway on the field. Again, this is not a direct killing of Julio. This is just saying for the future. There are other Julios out there. There are other wide receivers. Y'all look, as much as everybody's been talking about quarterback, this is a nice little receiver draft too. And not to say we're going to take a first round pick. Maybe if we get that 27th pick. But there are other guys. There are other folks out there. And you got a number one in potential in Calvin. So, I mean, that's just, I don't know. John, what's up, JR? Said, this team needs big receivers. These mighty mites we have beside Julio are too small to take the punishment that Ryan dish out. And you're probably right. Maybe so. Homer says, Julio trade picks will be for next year, for this year, right? Yes, but according to, and I'm sorry that I'm not using his name, but it was on NFL.com, but he explained that the picks could be for next year, but you would be able to get the money to count off of the books this year, but the picks would be for next year. And I should have been listening a little bit better when I did that. And John says, what the crap I'm hearing about Julio being a headache for the Falcons, and the guy reporting this has been sitting on the story for 3 years. Come on, man. Yeah, you know what? I saw Mike Florio, and I heard that this morning. I think when something like this comes out and nobody actually knows the story, I think it's easy for the Sharks to attack. I didn't pay that any attention because I don't care what Julio does off the field. And matter of fact, if he's having problems in the locker room, we've never heard of it. Only time we ever heard Julio even come close to acting like he was disgruntled is when he wanted a little more money, when he saw the other receivers getting paid. And even when he did that the right way. He didn't make a stir publicly. Tell me the interview that y'all saw with Julio where he said, I'm disgruntled, I want to leave, he never said that. So yeah, sometimes when you start talking about some national people, again, that's when they're kind of stretching. You know, I mean, that's just crazy. And I apologize. Some of these things are coming in with not your names on it. Right now, they use him as a diversion for Riley. Ridley, Pitts, and Gage can get it done. I find it funny how Colin Cowherd, I'm going to stop right there because I don't pay attention to Colin Cowherd any bit. What time, Michael, you're going to be live Thursday? We'll be live at 7:30, y'all. 7:30 on YouTube. Also in the Atlanta Bird Gang. And if on YouTube, it's going to be on Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge, and I'm gonna put it right here so y'all can see it. I don't have my phone. If y'all notice, I've had a different setup, but there it is right there. So if y'all want to subscribe now, on Thursday, you'll get the alert when we start. We're gonna start at 7:30. Myself, Tidy, Marcus, Brian, and Nicholas will be on at 7:30. We're gonna take you through the draft, take you through what we hope will be some positive news. And we're going to have a new player one way or the other, so we'll be able to celebrate that. But we'll be on 7:30, y'all. 7:30. Homer, if we pick Pitts first, we'll be on the same path, drafting with Matt in mind. And again, Homer, that's my point. Listen, how many years in a row have we gone to the let's get weapons for Matt? Last year, it was Gurley and Hurst. The year before, it was, 2 years before, it was Ridley. I mean, we keep going to that well, and maybe it's more than the people you're bringing in. Maybe it's the guy at the front and everything. Look, there's no way I can hide my disdain for wanting somebody new. But I will say this. I am resigned to the fact that our starting quarterback will be Matthew Ryan this year. I'm resigned to that. But I would like to see this organization take a stand and say, but Matt, what you're doing right now is not good enough. You don't get scared about somebody in the third round. Kellen Mond, Kyle Trask, Jamie Newman, somebody said Ellinger from Texas. I was like, come on, y'all. None of those guys are going to put any type of pressure on Matt to raise his game. The top 5 guys, more importantly, top 4. I'm not a Mac Jones guy, but the top 4 guys, they will. That's what you have to do. Herbie threw about 16 touchdowns to different receivers in 2016. Steve, Tidy, thank you, Steve. Fans were just assuming if we draft a quarterback, he'd never play for 3 seasons. Those are just fans who don't want competition behind Ryan. That's just true. You want Ryan to be safe. Y'all want Ryan to sit there and be able to say, I retired an Atlanta Falcon. And folks, if that's what y'all are about, I'm telling you, I'm going to worry about what your thoughts are for this franchise's future. We have to get better. And guess what? It might take a season for us to, I won't say hit rock bottom. I think rock bottom was last year. Was there anything that Matt Ryan did last year? And I want y'all to be brutally honest with me. Is there anything, I'll go back to 2019. Is there anything that Matt Ryan did from 2019 to 2020 that makes you think he is going to be the quarterback for the next 2-3 years? And forget the cap, forget those numbers, forget all of that. What I'm saying is it anything that gives you hope that we're going to all of a sudden get better? Is that we're all of a sudden going to improve? And if the answer to that is no, then what you do is, before the story's over, go out and get your future. Go get your future. And I'm reading some of these, y'all, and some of them I can't see the name because I don't have, again, y'all going to see a brand new set for me, hopefully, on Thursday, and I'm going to have a brand new set. So I'm reading some of these comments, and I can't see some of the names, so please don't get mad at me. I promise y'all I'm paying attention. Can you imagine him catching open passes and not dropping them in the end zone? How about we get weapons for our wide receivers, whoever that is? That's funny. We got one they just don't catch. Mobile quarterbacks help the wide receivers in the O-line. Again, folks, I'm not even gonna go to the mobile more than just athletic enough to get out the freaking pocket, to just get out and be able to extend the play. Brother Daniel says, Steve, the head coach of Atlanta wants Pitts so That's what my gut is telling me. Unless somebody gives up the farm, watch the tape. Coach Smith loves 12 persons. I saw the tape. I saw the interview. Here's the thing right here, Daniel. At the end of the day, I don't know. I don't think this is a. I'm not sure whether this is a Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff collaboration like they did before. Terry Fontenot, this is his first time up the bat, just like Arthur Smith. I'm not sure if he's going to make that call. Arthur Smith might not want. I mean, again, I'm sure Terry doesn't want. I'm sure Terry wants to get who Arthur Smith wants. My only question about Mr. Pitts is Mr. Pitts 6 wins more? Because you're telling me if Pitts gets drafted, he's worth 6 wins. He's not worth 6 wins. A tight end is not going to get me 6 more wins. Because the same guy's going to be throwing the ball to him. The same guy's going to be getting tackled. The same guy's going to be patting the ball in the back. The same guy's going to be rolling up in the fetal position. That's not going to help this team. We have to deal with Matt Ryan right now because the money made us. But I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like he's going to solve all our woes. And will Pitts come? I'll probably get a jersey if he does. But I'll be disappointed because a tight end is not going to solve our problems. And for some of y'all who want to sit there and act like Kyle Trask is going to mature into okay, I'll wait and see. I've been wrong before. I was wrong about AJ Terrell. Most definitely, I can see it more often than not. Since we're on the subject, can you imagine Matt catching any of our receivers in stride? Yeah, chew on that for a minute. Yeah, exactly. Those days are over. He did before, but I think those days are over. Toddy said if we do trade Julio, then I'd be more disappointed if we drafted Pitts instead of a quarterback. We need to get a quarterback this year if we trade Julio. Then put Matt on the trading block in 2022 and totally start this thing all over. And that's what do you have to lose? For those of you delusional enough to think that we are one player away, I'm sorry, we're not. We're not. And even if by some chance we stumble on into a 9-8 record, yeah, I got to get used to that 17 games. If we stumble onto a 9-8 record, are you really satisfied with that? Matt Ryan at this stage of his career, are you really satisfied with that? If we make the playoffs this year with Matt Ryan and we happen to get Kyle Pitts, it's going to be people like, I told you so, Kyle Pitts. No. I want my future. And I don't want a future who's going to be sitting there with a Microsoft Surface in his hand the whole time. I want somebody who I want somebody who's going to, every time Matt throws an interception, every time he throws an interception and I'm in that Mercedes-Benz Dome and I hear them hollering that name, we want Trey, we want Trey, we want Justin, we want Justin. I'm serious. That's it. I want them to have that pressure. Do I want the Falcons to succeed? Absolutely. And don't get it twisted. I'm a Falcon fan before and after all of this. But I'm also very disappointed if we don't end up doing this thing, y'all. Pitts is not going to give us 6 wins. Daniel says, you know how I feel about Matt. And you know, I know, Dan. Listen, and to those folks who support Matt, hear me loud and clear. I appreciate everything Matt has brought to this franchise. I would be foolish to try to sit here and try to tell you that Matt has been garbage this whole time. Matt did not change this franchise. Dude, he had his first, let's see, he had the 2 years in a row. Was it 2 years in a row? The first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So out of his first 10 seasons, he had 2 losing seasons. He had one season that was 8-8. He had the 2 back-to-back losing seasons that got Smith out of here. His first 10 years, he had 2 losing seasons. This was a franchise that had back-to-back. They did not have back-to-back winning seasons ever before 2008. A franchise that started in 66. If you think that wasn't Matt Ryan, then you're just not paying attention. Matt Ryan was very much the reason for that. We needed that. We needed that. Nobody thought he would be the guy. We were sitting here trying to think about getting Glenn Dorsey. Matt Ryan took this team and took this franchise to places we've never been before as the leader of this team. But to try to bring 2008 through 12 up to 2019 and 20, I'm telling you, you're making a mistake. On the right team, would Matt maybe be serviceable enough to take a veteran-laden team, a team that has talent on defense, to the playoffs? Absolutely. That's not my point. But let's keep it real. Matt Ryan right now, I think at best has maybe 1, possibly 2 years left. I don't want to see Matt in on the struggle. I'd rather see somebody else come in here and at least try to stop the bleeding. And we've been bleeding, folks. Been bleeding for the last 3 years. Only reason Pitts is getting talked about is because of his agent. Point blank, Steve. Yeah, probably. If you remember, I seen Terrell as number 1 corner last year. And you were right on Terrell. Listen, I tell everybody, AJ Terrell came last year. I was one of the first ones dogging him out. Say, for real? AJ Terrell? Honestly? And AJ turned out to be pretty good. Facebook, I'm not saying that Kyle Pitts is worth 6 more wins, but I will say better coach and play calling will. Arthur Smith is betting on his coaching to make this team better next season. I wouldn't mind seeing a new quarterback, but I understand if they don't draft one and get the best player available. And listen, whatever we end up doing, in the moment, I might not be, happy about it, but I'm riding. I'm ride or die. But between the end of the Super Bowl and the time we kick off in September, I'm going to let my opinion be known about what I think needs to be done. Like everybody else. And I don't understand, no problem with that. I just think right now you're making a mistake and bringing it all the way back. Julio Jones leaving this city before Matt Ryan. I'm trying to tell you, y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that smoke. Arthur Blank. If you have any type of pull in this world right now, you want to go get Matt's successor. And I'm not talking about in the 3rd round. You want to go get Matt's successor while you have a chance to get somebody. You've got to. Justin says, we end up taking Sewell. Where are we meeting to get drunk and yell? You know what? I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. If we got Sewell, I wouldn't be as mad. I really would not be as mad. If we got Sewell and he is as advertised, I would not be as mad as if we got Pitts. Pitts, to me, is somebody who obviously is off the charts in his measurables. But Pitts is somebody that's I think is a 1 piece away type deal. Probably with Miami is just probably waiting for us to let him go past. That kind of guy. There is nothing that Kyle Pitts is going to do for the 2021 Atlanta Falcons while Matt Ryan is still quarterbacking. Folks, that is not a Matt Ryan hate statement. That is a Matt Ryan for real statement. I would rather start this team. There are some other good tight ends in this draft, folks. Everybody has been stuck on Kyle. And here's the thing that I just don't understand. Name me the last tight end drafted in the top 5. I'll wait. Think Vernon Davis came the closest at 6. And you see, he had moments, but he didn't turn out to be Tony G. Shoot, he's not even Travis Kelce now. Shoot, he might not even be Zach Ertz. Uh, 49ers are sneaky as hell. They say they sold on Matt Jones and Trey Lance. I believe that's bull knuckles here. But here's the thing, Trey. San Francisco, that's how you play it. You don't let everybody know what you're going to do. This is going to be the most fun 72 hours leading up to a draft ever, because I don't think you're going to see any more trades until draft day. Maybe not even maybe. You're going to see some trades on draft day. Hope and pray it's not us. But you're not going to see any more. Tidy said you got to get Kyle Pitts after you've gotten your new quarterback, not before. Listen, the one thing which is very interesting to me, and I'm still not understanding this part, that people are just sold on this. We're not going to draft somebody to sit. Well, for one thing, he might not sit the whole time. See Mahomes. You might come in for a couple of spots. You never know. Lord forbid, I don't want Matt Ryan to get hurt now that he's our quarterback. Of course not. But if he gets hurt, I'm not trotting Ken Benkert out there or a way over the hill Matt Schaub. I'm trotting out what I'm thinking to be my future quarterback. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, Vernon Davis was 6. And I know he was 6, and that's the thing. Thank you, Tommy. And again, Vernon at number 6. If you're a tight end at number 6, and yes, I remember the touchdown he got in the playoffs. I remember. But does Vernon Davis, when you say great tight ends over the last 20 years, do you say Vernon Davis? And at number 6, they should be generational, because tight end is usually a position not taken that high. I like the little guy from Detroit. I said that yesterday, Hawkinsock. I like him. He was number 9. I'd be more willing to go down to 8 or 9, except for going high like that. Number 4, and Hayden Hurst did what he could do in his situation. Matt Ryan tried to get him the ball. When he did get him the ball, he did what he could. But I think he still has the potential to be great. I really do. Daniel says, I jumped your case and everybody else's case when they were upset about Trey. Yeah, absolutely you did. And you should have. Trey says, I think people saw the seizure and it put a big red flag. You're talking about the epilepsy thing? Are you talking about my man Fields? Is that what you're talking about? Maybe that's if that's what you're talking about. Again, the medicine going on now in the NFL. Listen, you remember 2 years ago, we were sitting here thinking McGarry would have to retire. There was, when we drafted him, there were people Fields. I thought that's who you were talking about. When McGarry had his heart ailment, there were folks in this draft saying, how could the Falcons overlook that and not know what he could do? And he's going on his 3rd year at position. Folks, I trust in the medicine. I never saw the man have a seizure on the field. I've seen the man get hurt, have hip pointers, get up and throw touchdowns. I've seen the man show durability like no other. I would take a chance. And what that would be for this fan base, folks, I'm sorry. Keep it real. Justin Fields would be at an immediate infusion of excitement for this franchise. It would. And you're talking about somebody who really, when Justin during the Georgia situation, I was one of the guys that was kind of saying, why is he tripping, until I found out the background stuff. And then when he went to Ohio State, I said, oh, I see. Medicine's too good in the NFL, man. They'll fix him up. Tommy says, yeah, Vernon Davis was outstanding. The fastest dude ever, ran like a 4.4. I think he was worth 6 in my opinion. Here's the problem though, Tommy. And I had a whole argument with our brother Eddie Thompson about this whole thing. But answer my question on this. And I asked the question, was he one of at number 6? And it was a horrible draft, 2006. At number 6, that's supposed to be a special player. Vernon Davis wasn't special. He had 2 Pro Bowls. He had 1 second-team All-Pro. Had one of the best playoff touchdowns of all time. But was he special? He won the Super Bowl with Denver and didn't catch 1 ball. But was he special? And yes, you can't extrapolate what's going to happen. All of these, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Pitts, all of them could be bust. They could. All of them. So nobody knew. But I'm saying after all the smoke has settled, when I go back and look at Vernon Davis, he's all right. But when I go back and look, ooh, y'all spent number 6 draft. Ooh. And Frisco wasn't even making the playoffs on the regular then. They were okay, but they weren't the 49ers of the 80s and 90s. So that's my point about a tight end. Is Kyle Pitts going to be good? I think he is. I'm just saying for the Falcons, I'm not sure he's the right piece now. Not right now. And some folks, oh, we're getting rid of Julio, so let's get Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is not a wide receiver. I know you can slid him out at wide receiver. He has that speed. I get it. But if I'm drafting a tight end, I'm drafting a tight end. He needs to be playing tight end. Homer says Jay Cutler was literally taking shots on the sideline during games. Feel free, fine. Again, the you're absolutely right, Homer. I mean, the NFL medicine shop is wide open. Trey, if we get Fields, I'm buying his jersey in every color. Tommy says, I see your points. He wasn't Antonio Gates. And again, and that's not, and let me get your point. I'm not trying to poo-poo your point to say, at number 6, he might have been worth it. Because again, I can't remember what San Francisco's situation was. Maybe they were a tight end away and they figured that was the best at that time. I think my point is, if I'm taking somebody in the top 10, really at any position, Beasley should have been generational. We took him too high. I think we reached, but we took him too high. So when you start looking at equity for the position, that's what I'm talking about. I think Kyle Pitts is nice, but is Kyle Pitts the right answer right now? See, I'm looking at more intangibles than the 2 tight end set and stuff like that. You know the intangible I'm looking for? I'm looking for the intangible that my team is boring. My team lacks energy. My stadium is empty. My fans are all yelling at each other, mad at each other. Those are things I'm looking at. And granted, I know to win a game, you got to have the best athletes and you got to have the best players, and I get it. But if I'm Terry Fontenot and I want to say, this is my team now, y'all. You draft the quarterback, you know what happens? You get the Scooby-Doo. Because people are going to be like, oh, he ain't scared to make this pick. That's what I'm looking for out of my GM. Make some out-of-the-box choices, man. Because I tell you what, you draft Justin Fields, all of a sudden, don't be shocked. PSL numbers start going back up again. Hometown guy coming back home. I'm trying to tell y'all. It's no secret where we are, folks. This is Atlanta, Georgia. Fill in the blank. Y'all not dumb. Bring Justin Fields back to this situation. You're going to get that Athens contingency. They did you wrong, Justin. We got you back. Go Dogs. You're going to get that. All of that coming back. Mike said Matt's 36, more prone to get hurt. That's then what good is Pitts? And who you going to have throwing the Pitts? You right, Mike. Eric McFadden, we got to put a little faith in the new GM. Nobody said we didn't have faith in him. Listen, Eric, not one moment did I just say I didn't have faith in him. I'm saying I hope he makes the right decision. And I hope he makes a decision based on the franchise as a whole, not in the moment. Of course you want to win. You want to win every opportunity you get out there on the field. But when you've lost 3 years in a row and you look bad doing it, sometimes you got to cut your losses and start that boy back over. We didn't restructure Matt Ryan because he was great. Let's clear that up. For those of you who want to stay on we did that with Matt because we believed in him for the next 2 years. No, they did that because they were $15 million over the salary cap and they needed his salary bad. Next year, the salary cap is going up, folks. I'm not saying it's going up $40 million, but it's going to go up. Did you see the TV money they just signed this year? And you see the streaming services what they signed? Hulu just paid more money to the NFL to get the NFL red zone so I can finally get rid of DirecTV. I mean, the money is coming. And as much as I keep hearing it, we're stuck, y'all. We're stuck. We're not stuck. Good GMs can figure it out. And let's hope that this guy can figure it out. We saw him and Mickey Loomis manipulate the salary cap for years down there in Stinky Town. Let's see if we can do that here. Trey says, I don't see Matt playing past 40 because he loves his twin boys and he's not going to risk his life based on health, man, going with his health over 40. I don't think he will either. I think I see Matt going to the booth. I think Matt could be a good booth guy. Tommy said, I would not take Kyle Pitts over Lance or Fields. Lance is a better pick for me. It's a new front office, and they not going to pass up a quarterback. Listen, each day, Tommy, Fields, Lance. Business, Fields would be awesome. But also business, Lance would be awesome. This is the 2020s, y'all. And we can sit here and act like drop back quarterbacks of the past can still win. There's only one doing it, and he's in Tampa. All the rest of the guys are either getting older or they just retired. See Breeze, see Rivers, and see Roethlisberger still hanging on by a thread. Roethlisberger can't even move back there. He can still throw, but he can't move. That's gone. And it is ironic that the year that Matt had his best year, that was the most athletic I'd ever seen him his whole career. Coincidence? I don't think so. Christian, I said, I have a feeling we are looking for a first-round pick this year and the second round for next year for Jones. Eric, no, I wasn't saying you. No, Eric, I was good. I wasn't thinking you said me. Isaiah says drafting Fields to sit on the bench is going to sell tickets. The only reason the stadium was empty in 2020 due to COVID, 2019 sold out game. Yeah, smart behind. I know what you mean. Okay, so genius. I meant 2019. I made a mistake and said 2020, but it was still empty in 2019 as I was in all games. And in 2018, it was getting empty. So good for you for picking out the year. And yes, drafting Fields would put more people in the seats. Yes, it would. For the record. And if you have to figure that out, then I that's a history lesson about this city that I can't explain. So I'll let you figure that out. Eric said, I'm let's do best for the team. And listen, there are moves that's going to be better for the team, and I get it. Look, again, Kyle Pitts' name is called within a week or two, or whenever they put his jersey out, probably be one of the first ones to get one, no doubt. But I'm not thinking that's the best move. That's all. Christian says, Arthur wants to make sure we have primetime games on Sunday and Monday night. Yeah, primetime is going to be real slow this year. Toddy, I remember when Rich McKay saying the cap can be manipulated and worked around if need be. This was the interview after they fired Quinn and TD. And again, I feel the same way. And think about it, too. They're going to probably be this. The whole NFL is suffering financially this year. There's a sneaky suspicion. I have a sneaky suspicion after hopefully things get back to normal this fall when you start getting people to come back to games and things like that. Listen, players and they might have to go back to the table and say, listen, y'all, in order to make up for the room where we lost, we did it. They might make some changes. Listen, we had to all make changes in lifestyle, and in businesses, they have to make changes too. I have a feeling, as much as everybody can keep saying, we're gonna be stuck with Matt. Don't be so sure. Isaiah said, I don't see anything great about Lance. Y'all reaching with this Lance love. He hasn't played all year, and he didn't play any real talent before. I don't know. It's funny for somebody who hadn't played and somebody who doesn't get a lot of attention. He got a lot of GMs and coaches going to his pro day. Well, I don't know. If he was nobody, I think they would have done that virtually. Just my thought, but you might be right, Isaiah. Tidy and Mitchell said last week the Falcons could move Ryan and work around the cap if they really wanted to in 2022. And I think I remember hearing that. Was he talking to the guys on radio, NFL Network folks? I think I heard that on there. Winston, even if he plays, won't be with us. Tidy, drafting Fields would probably put more people in our stadium. That's a given. Isaiah, how's a player sitting on the bench going to sell tickets? I'm not saying don't draft Fields. I'm not understanding the logic. Isaiah, again, if you don't live in Atlanta and you don't know what Atlanta's makeup is, and you don't understand where Justin Fields is from, it's going to be hard for you to understand. I'm not going to sit here and give you a lesson on why Justin Fields for business would probably put more people into seats. If we have to figure that out, you're going to have to go back to the history of Justin Fields. I'll let other people tell you that. So I'll let you figure that out, buddy. Rusty, I'm late. Julio's worth the first and third. Thursday's gonna be wild. We ain't talking. That's what we were talking about earlier, buddy. Christian, drafting the quarterback would draw interest from more fans. Steve, you know it's gonna be a party. Absolutely. I can't wait for y'all Thursday. I really can't. Dre, Deion Jones will go before Julio Jones. I said it, and I'm putting the stamp on it. 45 before 11. But you know what, Dre? I said that before the season started. His contract is not as bad, but I think this year, I'm trying to see what his dead money is. I'm not looking at it, y'all. If y'all tell me, check it out for me. But I was saying that earlier this year that Deion could go. Rich Eisen. Okay, Rich Eisen. Thanks, Toddy. Isaiah, no one talked about him before the 2019 season. Why is he a hot commodity now? Fields is the best quarterback in this draft. I like Fields. And again, in 2000, let me make sure I get it right. So you don't get nothing. 2019, he didn't throw any interceptions. Yes, for a Division II team, but at the end of the day, I think people saw his raw athleticism. They saw the strength of his arm. I saw the man lay out a couple of 60-yard, 70-yard in the air passes. I see his toughness. And yes, he only played one game last year. And I think in that one game, he threw 2 interceptions. But I think people, you know what it is, Isaiah? I think people look at your athleticism, and the 32 offensive coordinators / head coaches all say, wow, if I had this guy with his raw ability, I would be able to change him. So if you're asking, that's what happens. That's why they have pro days. That's why people want to go see him in person, because they'll say, you know what? With my mind, if I'm Kyle Shanahan and I'm sitting there saying, you know what? I could do a lot with that guy. That's why he's getting a lot of hype. And I understand why you would say why is he getting that hype? But that's why. People look and say, I can do more with him. Christian says, I have respect for Lance. He had no big time offers coming right out of high school. Now he's a first round pick. Sky's the limit for this kid. He sounds like money to me. He's gonna get paid one way or the other. Isaiah, I lived in Atlanta all my life, and I've been a season holder since I was 5. I'm 32. Well, here's the thing, Isaiah. If you're in the same stadium I'm out in, and if you've lived in Atlanta all your life, then you should answer your own question. I mean, if you can't figure it out. Ariane, yeah, Steve, he can't be from Atlanta and not know Fields would feel the same. I mean, again, Isaiah, sorry, dude. Trey, he had that big interception against Winston and then against Breeze. Please let me know what Jones has done over Julio Jones. You're right. You're right. It's pretty fast, though. Tidy, Fields has 650,000 followers on IG. Ryan has 376. Phil is already more popular and marketable than Ryan. He hasn't taken one NFL snap. That will equate to more PSLs being sold. I'm glad y'all are giving out the case. That frustrates me as a person, especially when you come and say you've been a native of Atlanta and you can't see things around you and can't see what a hometown kid who went to the University of Georgia and left under different circumstances, what difference that would make coming here. I don't know. I'm sure when DJ Shockley got drafted here, I'm sure that brought a couple of people in, not a lot, but it brought a couple of people in. Come on, man. Brother Robert, how you doing, man? Let's go Fields. That's my preference, our future quarterback. Hopefully, I do see the benefits of a Pitts and trading out, though. But I hope we have an opportunity to go and get Fields. And Robert, and you have listened to me long enough. I absolutely would be down if they do it later on. But again, my number one choice is to get a quarterback. Rusty, I see Lance being leaked to us more than Fields. Any thoughts on why? You know, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, people have brought up the epilepsy thing. And for some reason, I don't know, there was a little narrative the last couple of weeks ago about Justin Fields not being able to go past his first progression, and how Lance was in a system where he was taught to go through his progressions a lot quicker. I don't know where that came from. All I know is I saw Fields against big-time competition and athletes he's probably going to see in the NFL later on. And I saw him lose, 2 games? Did he lose 2 games in his career? Maybe 2. So, Christian, Steve, I see a lot of comments people are making about draft a quarterback and have him sit a year. Peyton Manning said it best: a rookie should take it all in from a veteran quarterback and offensive coaches and learn all the ins and outs of the game. And who better to tell you from? And Peyton, I'm sure Peyton will go back and tell you all those interceptions that he threw that year. I bet you he would have loved to have somebody that was in front of him instead of throwing him out to the fire. Now, he was a special cat, but Peyton Manning didn't light the world on fire his first year. And I'm sure he would have benefited from that itself. Christian, hometown kid, behind in the seat. So again, folks, so Isaiah, my friend, listen, dude, I don't have to tell you. Other people will tell you if, and that's saying I'm not telling you how you are. I'm just saying, just You got to look beyond some things sometimes. IG followers do not equate to PSL. That logic is flawed. He's 21. Matt is 36. Of course, he has more followers. OBJ has more than Brady. How do you think OBJ is filling the stadium in Cleveland more than Brady is in Tampa? I'm not saying Fields won't be a star if he comes here, but he won't be the reason tickets sell out. For me, it's Fields, Pitts, or trade out. Yeah, and listen, I think you're probably taking some stuff super literally. Am I saying that Justin Fields will automatically sell out 50,000 empty seats and put them in there? No. What I am saying is, for you who has been to games, allegedly, if you go to the games and see all the red seats out there and see the non-interest that was in the stadium in 2018 and 19, since we didn't do anything in 20, but if you see all of the red seats out there, do you not think that somebody from this place with the potential that their cousin, best friend, high school teammate, Georgia alum, right in the area, if you think for 1 minute that the potential to say, you know what, I knew him when, that I knew him when will get you 5,000 to 10,000 more people in there. I'm sorry, it will. And where you say you don't see it, I'm sorry. I guess others see it and maybe you don't. And that's okay. You can have a different opinion, my friend. That's what this is all about. You can have all the different opinions you want to. Michael, curtains for Matt Ryan. Do you want to get rid of Julio Jones? Curtains for Matt Ryan. Well, the problem is we've already made the decision on Matt Ryan, so he's not going anywhere. Isaiah, hometown kid, and maybe make it clear, Ryan. Maybe make it clear, Michael. I wasn't trying to say I'm enjoying that Matt Ryan is here for 2 more years. I'm just saying, unfortunately, we had to make the move to get him here. So this year is going to be whatever. Isaiah, hometown kid sitting on the bench for 2 seasons is not going to be an instant turnaround, like y'all said. Who says he's going to sit for 2 seasons? If Matt Ryan goes, it's okay. So scenario, I don't care if Matt Ryan making $50 million. And I'm sure Arthur Smith doesn't either. If Matt Ryan goes 1-7 and Justin Fields gets to play and he's shown to be a little bit better, I don't care how much money you making. Yeah, look, you might be stuck. They'll figure something out. Then Justin Fields gets on the field in 2022. It's so funny how everybody has figured it out that Matt, because of what he did in his contract this year, is going to automatically start next year. Might not even be here next year. So all of the Matt's going to be here for 2 years, and I even got news for you. Shoot, say we draft Kellen Mond. I'm just throwing the name out there. Say if we draft Jamie Newman and Matt gets either hurt or something like that, and they outplay him when they get on the field. Do you think a coach is going to say, well, it's $50 million against the cap, I got to play him? Come on, man. Coach is trying to keep their job. They're not thinking about stuff like that. Christian says, Orion said, what is Atlanta made of? Christian, I see too many empty seats during our winning seasons. I believe this draft will change it. Tidy, Ryan super fans automatically assume a new quarterback will never see the field for 2 or 3 years. That's their logic. I don't get it. I don't get that. Matt Ryan could be on the bench as soon as midseason if he doesn't step his game up. Isaiah, number of fans attending Falcons home games. Isaiah, 2016, 560,000 fans. I don't even know what you're talking about. Dre, Steve, Kyle is slick as baby oil. I think he's got some up his sleeve. What the hell does he see in Matt Jones? I think that Bama school name is what he's looking at. Everything that comes out of Bama is not good. I said it point blank. Listen, You might. They're playing the same game in Frisco as we're playing in Atlanta. Why would you? If you do anything, you want deception. And you know what you might want? You might want people to overvalue that pick. If I say I was going to get Matt Jones and somebody down the line, New England, or somebody like that said, man, I wanted to get Matt Jones, and Frisco's going to get him, and they'll give up the ranch to go up there and get him, and Frisco like, we going to start Jimmy G anyway. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying we're still at a cat and mouse game with this trade stuff. You're not going to see any more trades until the day of the draft. Until then, it's anybody's guess. Isaiah says 575,000 fans in 2017, 2018, and 572 in 13. Okay, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Because it's 70,000 fans in that stadium. So until you get 600,000, which is a sellout, I don't even know what you're talking about. So we'll figure that out. Rusty, I joined late. What are your thoughts, real quick, on the Julio rumors? True. Okay. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. I think there's some rumor to people trying to talk to him. I really do believe that. But at the same time, I'm Rusty, I want to wait to see if it's legit. I think my biggest concern here, Rusty, was I think you'll see a real interesting dynamic if Julio Jones leaves before Matt Ryan. I almost guarantee you're going to see an interesting dynamic if Julio Jones leaves his team before Matt Ryan. If they ride off into the sunset together, that's one thing. Some people, even though the Matt Ryan thing definitely saved them enough money to get people signed, yes, it had to be done. But I also think that people are going to take that as we chose Matt over Julio. And at this stage, when you've been losing like you have, and yes, Julio hasn't been on the field, but it's no doubt right now at this time, who moves the meter more, Matt or Julio in this town? And I think if Julio left, you would see a lot of disheartened folks around here. And I just don't, I don't know. And I think it's not a bad move to move Julio. I think it should have happened earlier. I suggested that it happened earlier. And that's not a hate Julio thing. It's a let's be real. We're in reset mode. We're in reset mode, folks. This team is not getting. We brought up all the free agents we had. Nobody wanted. We weren't making any transactions the first week of the free agency. We weren't doing anything. When we waited, we just started making our picks 2 and 3 weeks ago. They've been signing folks since early March. They're not coming to the Falcons because they're saying, that organization seems like they got it together. They're going there because who else left? Guess it's the Falcons. That's why they're doing that. Tidy, if a new GM takes quarterback at number 4 in the draft, that's their guy. They're going to do whatever it takes for him to get on the field as soon as possible and escort the mid-Charles quarterback out of town. Listen, because you're absolutely right. Remember, this is going to be this regime's first pick, as Matt was TD's first pick. They realize that. Fontenot's early career, the criticism or accolades is going to be very much decided by this first pick and how this first pick turns out. So to Tidy's point, if they sign a quarterback, they're not going to have the game plan for him to wait that long. 2021 might be. But 2022, he might be trying to get that cat on the field. And keeping in mind, Matt Ryan or no Matt Ryan next year, whether we end up sucking up the money or not, you still got that cat under financial control for the next 4 years. So there's that. Christian, in 2 years, Matt is going to be 38. I'm pretty sure he has retirement in his mind because he had a successful career. Ryan fans think saying Fields equals Super Bowl is wrong. I'm saying Fields a 9-8 season would feel much better than a Matt 9-8 season. You know what? Because with Fields a 9-8 season, with you haven't even touched prime potential or anything. Right now with Matt Ryan, and it's too many people making, and we talked about this yesterday, it's too many people making a Tom Brady, Matt Ryan comparison. Folks, Matt Ryan is not Tom Brady. Matt Ryan is not Russell Wilson. Matt Ryan is not Aaron Jones. I could probably say about 3 or 4 other quarterbacks. You cannot base Matt Ryan at 36 at what Rodgers did at 36, what Brady did at 36, what Breeze did at 36. He's not that guy. He's not. So you're right. You're absolutely right. If Matt goes 9-8, I'm still thinking about we could have been getting our other quarterback ready for business. If Justin Fields or Trey Lance comes in here and goes 9-8, the sky's the limit. We're the next Buffalo. We're the next Arizona. With a team that at least is on the upswing because our quarterback hadn't even learned. Josh Allen hadn't even hit his prime yet, y'all. Kyler Murray it is nowhere near as good as he can be, even though I think his ceiling is a little lower, in my opinion. So you're absolutely right. Kevin, what y'all eating on draft night? Wings, lemon pepper sprinkle. You know what, Kevin? You know what I need? I want some ribs, but I know I'm gonna be on the air, so I don't want to sit here and have barbecue sauce all over the place. But I probably do need some lemon pepper wings. So that's a good idea, Kevin. We're coming in here talking about food, man. I'm already a big dude, man. He's trying to get me bigger than I am. I'm already taking up more of the screen than I should be. Good to holler at you, Coach. You the man, brother. I really like to know a lot of what you think about. Matter of fact, make sure you were on there Thursday night, brother. We look forward to seeing some of our favorites in there to talk some stuff. Isaiah, the theory that the stadium was empty isn't true. The PSLs being defaulted on is true. Isaiah, I could care less about any of the stuff you bringing on. All I know is when I sit in there and I'm looking at 2 rows ahead of me and it's blank and 2 rows in back of me is blank. Matter of fact, I got pictures that I'm sure Tidy will tell you that I would post on air where I was showing the fans and that I would show the fans in the stadium. All that stuff you talking, brother, is nonsense. And I know you it sounds like you have a lifelong commitment to Matt Ryan and whatever that called. That's great. And that's fine. But yeah, for you to sit here and tell me where I was in 2019 and 18 and 17 and 16 and 15 and different. 16, we were off the chain. 15, it was crowded, but it was so-so at the Dome. And you're probably right. 14 was kind of sluggish. But please don't sit here and tell me 18 and 19 had all these fans. Come on, right? And here's the thing. And let me make it clear with your little numbers. Your numbers probably mean people who paid tickets. It probably doesn't mean the people that were literally in the stadium. Because I can tell you right now, the last 4 home games in 2019, I was talking to my buddy. I kid y'all not, my buddy is in he's in a section and a half over from where I am when we're in Mercedes-Benz. And I promise you, when we were I'm trying to think what game it was near the end of the year. It was the 2019 year when we rallied back and were winning games at the end for nothing. I think it might have been Jacksonville that we played. Minshew came in there, and I was yelling across from him like he was only 10 feet away and he was 20 feet away. So please don't tell me what I witnessed and say. You could tell me all the numbers you want to, brother. But maybe you were at the Atlanta United game. Maybe you don't know what you I don't know. Tidy said stadium. And look, Tidy was at the stadium. Me and Tidy didn't even run. We didn't get a chance to run into each other. Folks, there was nobody in the stands. I'm sorry. It wasn't even people. Here's the thing for people who went to the game. The people who went to the game, how quickly did you get to your parking? How quickly did you get in the stadium in 2019 and 2018? Folks, it used to take me 2 hours to get into the building. In 2019, I was there in basically 15 or 20 minutes. To leave the stadium would easily be an hour and a half. Take me a long time to get on. Dude, that last year in 2019, I was home in a minute. I'm sorry, brother. You can put up all these shenanigans that you want to. And I don't know where you were sitting. Maybe you were, I don't know where you were. I said, maybe you were at a Falcons game, maybe a United game. I don't know. Trey, hell, I'm going to say if Field shows up more in preseason than Matt, let Field start competition is a mother sucker. I said it point blank. Look, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. Christian, I hate to see Julio go, but it's a good time to get a decent trade for him while he's still healthy and training for the 2021 season. And these are our business things, y'all. And I don't think anybody that's talking about trading Julio today, including myself, no one will sit there and say that Julio Jones is not valuable to the Atlanta Falcons. But we are at a point where we say, yeah, we've seen some things over the last couple of years, not the attitude stuff that Mike Florio and people like that are bringing up, but things that we say, you know what, maybe we can let them go before things get real bad. So from that aspect, yes, maybe it is time to go. Michael, 2 cornerbacks, I do as good as 70,000 Alabama cornerbacks in South Carolina's cornerbacks. Yeah. Winston, we literally got caught pumping crowd noise into the stadium because of a low fan count. Hey, man. Yeah, tag your boy Isaiah with that one. Robert said, I think the Julio talk is all true. I think teams are calling, asking about him, and we are listening to the offers. It's highly unlikely a trade will happen, but they'll be doing the franchise a disservice not listening, in my opinion. And that's the thing, Robert. Look, you have to listen to every single thing that comes across the board. You would be foolish not to, because somebody may make an offer you can't refuse. Tidy put up a post earlier in the group about a hypothetical New England post, and you had people over there saying no. And I think the haul for us was like a number 1 this year, a number 2 next. I'm sorry, number 1 this year, number 1 next year, a number 2 this year, number 2 next year, and something like that. I was like, psh, man, please, in a heartbeat. So you have to listen. You have to do your due diligence. Christian, even if Matt got us to a Super Bowl, we would still be in talks of getting a new quarterback. The guys don't last forever. And with the only exception of Captain America down there in Tampa Bay, and think about what Tampa Bay is doing. And I don't blame them. Look, they got a winner out of it. Tampa Bay is renting the team for a couple of years, and that's fine. As long as they win and they get the results, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. But we're not in that situation. Matt Ryan is not. People aren't flooding to Atlanta as free agents to play with Matt Ryan. Tom Brady brought Gronk. He brought Shady McCoy. Shady McCoy didn't even do anything and got a ring. Shady McCoy and Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Ndamukong Suh. Shoot, it's probably more people. I'm just not thinking of them right now. But he was the best advertisement for Tampa. Come down there. Come on, y'all. Let's go on the beach, hang out, and win a Super Bowl while we at it. Matt Ryan doesn't have that stroke. So even those people who are sitting here talking about the Kyle Pitts thing, Kyle Pitts is not gonna look. If Kyle Pitts if Kyle Pitts gets picked at number 4, there is going to be an expectation of nothing less than 1,000 yards, 800 to 1,000 yards, and 9 to 10 touchdowns as a number 4 pick overall. And I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Quarterback is different. Quarterback is different, y'all. Tua got drafted number 6 last year. He didn't start. Herbert got drafted number 5 or whatever. Him and Tua were right in the same. They didn't start last year. Herbert got in because my man got hurt, Taylor. Tua didn't get in until the 8th game. There's no record that sits here and says that you have to start these cats like that. There's no rule. There's no unwritten rule that says that has to happen. I don't know where all that came from. Lisa, for the 2022 draft, get some Dirty Bird ladies on the draft show. You know what? And we do need to bring that flavor in, Lisa. We absolutely do. Absolutely do. I agree with you 100%. Isaiah said Breeze at 35 through 33 touchdowns, and the Saints had a losing season. That's worse statistics than Ryan at 35. You know what? You're right. And Drew Brees also won a Super Bowl, and Drew Brees also retired winning 4 straight NFC South. Yeah. You know, you're right. Ryan did have better stats than him. He did. And I can't remember the award show where he got best stats of the year. I'm trying to somebody remind me of the award show when he got best stats of the year that year, because I'm losing it. Maybe that's it. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Ooh, that's a lot of Kool-Aid you're drinking, bro. Andre, what's going on, man? How you doing? Long time no see, brother. Make sure you're here on Thursday night with the fellas. We'll be here live Thursday, 7:30. 7:30. Isaiah, AJC did the article about actual numbers. That's why I got numbers. I don't care if the PFC got the numbers. They didn't win a game. They didn't do anything. Who cares? You go bring up Drew Brees against Matt Ryan. Drew Brees, who beat us 3 out of every 4 times. Drew Brees, who been to the playoffs every other year. Come on, man. But I love that you bringing it to me, because I'm just going to throw up the deflector shield on you, because you're coming with, again, unadulterated nonsense. It's made no difference. First, you're going to tell me that people were in the seats in the stadium that I was in. Now you're going to sit here and try to compare a season that Drew Brees did and try to say Matt Ryan's better than him. Folks, you know what you need to do? Honestly and truly, you might want to get a job with Matt Ryan. So when he retired, he can get a driver or something like that. Maybe that's what you need to do. Tidy, Benz ain't been packed but for 1 game. That was the first game against the Packers. I was about to say that. And Tidy, that particular game, we went on a cruise the next day. And I remember my son and my son caught a cramp leaving that thing was packed for that first game. But even that year, the playoff year, even that year, it was crowded. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of people in there. But the 17 year, especially coming off the true, just overwhelming 2016 last few games of the year. That Georgia Dome in that last year, they didn't even need to implode that thing. If we would have scored 2 more touchdowns against Green Bay, we probably would have tore that thing down from jumping up and down. compared to what that was, what we did that year, I'm telling you, it was nothing. Isaiah, I didn't make him up. I don't make an argument about facts. You know what? I apologize. Great job getting those. Great job getting those vital stats from the AJC, and I sincerely apologize for that. Great stats, those great stats, and you know, I've thought about what I've said about it, and I'm just completely sorry. You're right. Matt Ryan had better stats than Drew Brees. You're right. Okay. So, all right. Andre, you know what, Andre? If you notice I have a different background. I'll have my phone, I'll be in my new background on Thursday. I don't have my phone with me. I apologize. But please make sure you're there Thursday. We will have the phones and we'll have everything set. I'm sorry, brother. You know you want first on the list on that. Isaiah, the Jags game was the last one I went to too. If that was the last one you went to, then you should know. I parked by Clark Atlanta University campus and walked. I've never had issues getting to my car. Exactly. You just answered my question. Christian, hell, I took the trainers in my seat less than 15 minutes. So listen, I don't even have to tell the story. The rest of y'all will tell the story. Armani, you know these Ryanites are in deep denial. Christian, don't worry, Ryanites. Matt will get a statue in front of the building. Oh, y'all need to stop. Brick, trade Julio, but keep Ryan. More of the same dumb moves. And like I said, Brick, and you didn't catch me earlier, I'm telling you, y'all think the fan base is divided now. Y'all think they divided. Let Julio leave before Matt. Let Julio be disgruntled leaving Atlanta before Matt. Woo! We're going to see stuff we ain't seen since 2007. I'll leave it there. Trey said Tua is trash. Trash. But and he might be trash, Trey. But all I was saying was I was making the point that he didn't start right away either. I guess for those who think if you get Justin Fields, you have to throw him out there game one or something like that. So Tidy said, I'll be honest, when Julio was noticeably absent for the New Jersey photo shoots, I kind of knew then that was something wasn't right behind closed doors. Every person of significance on the team was there, including Gurley. The most marketable person was a no-show. That spoke volumes to me. I'm sure Blank wanted him to be there more than anybody. He didn't show up, especially after Blank jumped through the hoops to tear up his contract and give him another one. And I'd also say for that particular thing, while I'm not going to go as far and say what we don't know behind the scenes, we don't know what's going on. When Julio was on, I never saw Julio have selfish moments on the sidelines. He went to the sidelines a lot, but I never saw him have selfish moments. If they did, they kept it in-house, and good for them for keeping all of that stuff in and stuff. And I knew at the end of the year, I have a sneaky suspicion Julio probably could have come back one or two of those games, but I think they didn't play Julio for a reason. And while my gut tells me that maybe things aren't right in paradise, I also think that they could have done that situation a couple of years ago with his contract a lot better. When he held them up for ransom, not even the year they extended him for the $20 million, for the 1 year where they had to go into other people's pocket to get him an extra $3 million. I thought that was a kind of an interesting situation. And the mere fact that he has said all along, no, y'all not restructuring my stuff. No, sir. I think when you start looking at a team that's losing, look, say what we want to say about the great myth of Dante Fowler. At least he was smart enough to say, you know what? Okay, I'll play ball, and redid his contract. I mean, he should have, but I mean, I say he should have. Let me counsel that. The one thing I've always said, I try not to get into people's pocket. I don't blame Julio for not restructuring. I don't blame him at all. That's his money. You sign a contract. My thought is, hey, that's what you're going to pay me. So everything that they're doing now to restructure the bonus and whatever, yeah, they'll get it down the line somewhere. But at the end of the day, I don't blame him for that. Um, right, Steve. If one of the faces of your franchise isn't in the marketing materials for the new team jersey, it's a noticeable absence. Absolutely, it is. Christian said Breeze can close out regular season games and put ass in the seats. Oh man, Toddy, you called me Devonta's agent. Hey man, I know we have a new Matt Ryan person, and Isaiah, I don't want you to ever stop coming on here, and I mean that wholeheartedly. If you're on there, because look, I'm gonna make fun of you all day, but at the end of the day, I appreciate your sticking to your guns. That's what you can do. That all you got is your own opinion and your own word, and I don't care if 100 people tell you otherwise. You stick to your guns. I'm gonna just stick to mine too. Winston says, Michael says, Steve, who are you taking? Fields or Lance? I would take Justin Fields. And I just told you about an hour ago, it depends. But if you ask me this moment right now, I'll probably take Justin Fields. But I'm not going to shed a tear if Trey Lance's name is called. Kristen says, who is Matt Ryan? Does he play for us? Oh, man. Rusty, think Mickey Loomis called Terry about the number 4? Look, New Orleans is on the look too. Even though I will say this, man, they would be foolish not to let Jameis have the reins in New Orleans, because that was 30 interceptions. Even if some of them were tipped, that's too many turnovers. You can't turn over the ball that much. But there's no denying that dude can throw the ball. And with Alvin Kamara still in that backfield, I think about Taysom Hill. Remember Taysom Hill last year? He got 3 wins. He was 3-1. You know who the 3 wins against? 2 against us and 1 against Denver when they didn't have a quarterback. Taysom Hill is not the guy. So, yeah, I think they ought to give Jameis a chance. John said, I don't know whether you dealt with this earlier, but what is the mess about Julio VE headache for the Falcons? Don't know what you're talking about. Isaiah, out of Lance, Lawrence, Fields, Jones, Wilson, who do you think would be the least successful? Because historically, all of them won't be successful. Of course they won't, because Matt Ryan is the only person ever in history to be successful. It'll be interesting to see what Zach Wilson does. If Zach Wilson, to me, as much as I see some of the tape and everything like that, it'll be interesting to see how Zach Wilson pans out. Listen, Mac Jones, the reason why when you put out of there who will be the least successful, I think Mac Jones might be put in a situation, especially if in Frisco. If he's in Frisco, he's going to be put in a situation to win. So I'm not going to put that tag on him. But yeah, if you tell me those people right there, I would say Zach Wilson. I think he's the right person for the Jets. But I would put him right there. Christian says, I have a question for Matt Ryan lovers. How long do you want to keep this guy? Because it's time to trade in this old car for a 2021 model. Isaiah Morris admitted this in his season-ending press conference that he held Julio out after the Chargers game that officially eliminated them for the play. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So from that standpoint, I'm thinking, and I'm not trying to say there was trouble in paradise as early as that, but I think there might have been some rocky road going on at that time. I don't know. Oriana, if we draft Fields and he gets to play and throws his first pick, how many fans are going to be like, I don't know, he can't be doing that? I think they're going to give him a shot. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think not the first game. I think if you see like a series of games, I think I would understand that. Remember, y'all, Peyton Manning threw almost 30 interceptions, and somebody check that for me. I know he threw close to 30 interceptions his first year. He threw a lot of interceptions. The first year, the book is kind of still out on you. You haven't learned to read defenses. You haven't had NFL speed. You can't judge by that first year. That's why it's great to use Matt as that sacrificial lamb, so he can learn on the run. Anthony, our true Georgia Dome fans did not buy PSLs. The people who started attending the games in 2017 were fans who were excited about the new stadium and the 2016 Super Bowl team. The diehard fans are the ones you see at the tailgates and opted out to get the PSL. The Georgia Dome was always pumped. And you have an excellent point, Anthony, because I don't think, and let's keep it real, he was following a trend. I think at that time, Atlanta was if I'm not mistaken, I think we were like the 11th team to go the PSL route. So it wasn't like it was something we did out of the blue. It was a model that had been used. I think it started in New York. I think when they met Life, I think that's when it started. Could have been a little bit before that. But when they saw that model was successful and they saw that, people still came, I think that's where they said, hey, let's try this and see. I think what they're finding out, to your point, that there's probably a good contingent of hardcore Falcon fans that were lost along the way. Because I will never sit here and try to tell anybody to spend an extra X amount of money on top of the ticket to do it. Look, personal story. So getting the PSL, the year that Alabama played Florida State, that first year, I'm trying to think, was that the first year or second year? It might have been the second year of the stadium. Alabama played Florida State. Alabama was number 1. Florida State was either 2 or 3. I bought those tickets. I think I bought those tickets for, I want to say it was $400 or whatever. I sold those tickets for over $2,000 and almost paid for my whole season ticket. So again, you have to make a decision to invest in that for those reasons. But I don't blame anybody for not buying into, I'm going to pay this amount of money just to be able to get this ticket. Because guess what's going to happen in the next 20 years? And we all going to have egg on our face. They're going to knock that down and rebuild another stadium. As is life. Trey, Steve, can Jones still hold up? Do you remember how he broke the screw in his foot and missed the season? That an issue with him going forward as he's getting older. That's something that you got to think about. That's why getting rid of him right now, and I say getting rid of him, but I'm saying getting him for some equity now. We could have got a little better a couple of years ago, but getting him now, we owe this man a lot of money. And if there's any way that you can finagle this thing where you can save some money and get a couple of picks back for the future, you knock yourself out. I don't have a problem with that. And I'll still wear the number 11 because love me some Julio. They ain't going to stop. But at the end of the day, it's time for us to start looking into the next phase of the Atlanta Falcons. I look at it like the Marvel movies. We went through the first little phase of the Infinity War, and now it's time to go into the next phase where we get to the Secret Wars. I think that's the thing. I know that just told on myself about being a geek. But yeah. Isaiah, I'm Team Matt, but I do want to draft for the future. I'm just on the fence about picking one at number 4. I don't have a problem with you being on the fence. I get that. That's no problem with that. There's no problem with you holding the flag for your cat. I get that. That's fine. I just think, and you know what? You're not alone. There's a great contingency of people that think with a little move here and a little pits there and a little offensive line there, that might be good as new and get us another 100,000 miles. I'm just not one of them. And I think there's a lot of people on my side too. But I don't have a problem with that. I'd have a problem with picking a tight end at number 4. I really do. I don't think a tight end is that valuable. I really don't. I don't see tight ends get picked. I don't see that many tight ends get picked anyway, let alone at number 4. That's my only thing. Is this cat that special? Because my thing is at Florida, he was all right. But I didn't see him like changing the position. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Michael, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't be team Matt. It should be just team. That's a good point. Isaiah, I want Matt to finish out his contract. I'm gonna tell you what, Isaiah. The day that Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith were brought in here, that was the day that you knew Matt Ryan wasn't going to finish out his contract. If Matt Ryan would have finished out his contract, Thomas Dimitroff would still be here. If you remember one of the things that Arthur Blank said in one of those first interviews, and when he was asked about it, and he said he might have been looking at these players, and he didn't name Matt and Julio specifically, but he was saying, looking at them with rose-colored glasses. In other words, you were so fascinated by them. And these guys, again, took you to the highest of heights. There was no time better than 2016. And that wasn't that long ago. So when you start as an owner, you want to get back to that as soon as possible. You want to get back to it as quick as you can. And he found out the hard way, millions of dollars later, and out of a coach and out of a GM, that you just can't do that. Christian says, I'm going to say this. We need to draft a quarterback while Ryan is still here because our future quarterback needs a good mentor like Matt to help learn the game and not do the same mistakes Matt did. Let me tell you something. And this is where Matt becomes valuable because I think Matt is probably one of the most professional quarterbacks. Matt doesn't get in trouble. Matt knows how to speak to the media. You never heard anybody on that team come out and say Matt is a horrible leader. You never heard anybody come out and say anything bad about Matt. So if it's anybody that I would want my young quarterback to come under, that's why you want to draft somebody high, because you want to say, I want to learn all the intangibles that this guy has. And so from that sense, I think Matt Ryan is valuable in 2021. Now, beyond, Tidy says Madden threw 28 interceptions as a rookie. He wasn't ready yet. He should have been sitting there behind a vet as a rookie. Again, that's why Peyton Manning probably said what he said. I knew it was a large number, but he turned it around quick. But at the same time, that first year is rough. And instead of going with the let's throw him out to the wolves, let me tell y'all something. Trevor Lawrence going to get baptized a few times, folks. Because those cats are faster in the NFL. Those guys are quicker. So don't think it's going to be all roses for them. It's not. Almighty, at Boston College, Matt Ryan had as many interceptions as touchdown, led the NCAA in interceptions and return for touchdown. And he did, but Armani, in his defense, he cleaned it up a little bit when he got to the NFL. He did. He threw a lot of interceptions. And that was one of the only things I was worried about. But in that draft, it was either him or Flacco. And I'm like, from Delaware, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, that was the right choice for that time, but he did throw a lot of interceptions. Isaiah, the PSLs were confusing to me at first. And yeah, listen, when they first started talking about the PSL, it took me a minute to grasp the concept of it. Again, as my buddy, and I think that was Mike that was talking earlier, you lose the ground swell, the folks, your base. You lose your base. And when you start talking about stadiums become, look, and I'm not telling on everybody, so I don't even want to say my section, but there are people in my sections literally that have wine glasses. And I'm not trying to, and I love them to death because they'll sit there and put their wine down and clap. But at the same time, I'm not saying you can't have a glass of wine and look at the Falcons. But if I'm at a game and I'll tell a story. We were at it was in the 2017 year. And I can't remember what game it was, but I remember we were sitting over there, and it might have been Minnesota. No, we lost that game. It was a game we won. And I remember sitting over there, and a big moment that happened. Everybody stood up, and I looked over there, and my two buddies, him and his wife, and they sat down. They had their little glass in their hand, and he was looking like this, and he's like, with his glass in his hand, and he was, but, but I digress. What I'm saying is, you don't want to outprice your base, and your base has been keeping the energy for this town for the long time. To Isaiah's point, when he starts talking about numbers and stuff like that, look, a lot of those numbers that you have now, and Isaiah, if you're telling the truth, you'll know this. Even the season 2019, the last one we had, when people were coming in there, they were mostly visitors, man. Tampa Bay came in there. It was pre-Brady, of course, 2019. It was visitors. That Minnesota game where they came in there and scolded their way through the whole game, that was visitors. Baltimore Ravens came in there and Lamar Jackson did nothing but run all day. That was nothing but visitors. So the PSL people are buying our tickets and we selling them off. Yeah. Mike says those days are over when your favorite players play their entire career with the same team. Long gone. It's team, not players. Lisa, the PSL business model was a bad idea. It priced out a lot of true Falcon fans. Also, the perks have not lived up to the perks we had at the Georgia Dome. No, they are trying to get fans for the section where no PSL acquired. Yeah, I saw that, what they call it, super fan section that they're trying to do. And you're absolutely right. Being a club member in the Georgia Dome, to me, was so much better when you start, thinking about that. And now it's almost like, yeah, it's made more for the social. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go downstairs and sit through the first quarter. I want to be out there in the seats. You made an environment, and I get it. You've made an environment to where it can be the hangout, almost like a bar and at a stadium. But real stadiums, you want everybody inside. You want everybody in there making noise. You want everybody and I think this stadium was made in mind for those fruity fruits who want to bring their business contacts in and have a good time. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. Businessman making money, and that's what life is about. But at the same time, when you start talking about the raw, base of the fan, you're right. That was lost. Tidy, the thing you want to be cautious with about Pitts and players like Zach Wilson's, they exploded on the scene in the COVID year. Guys like Fields and Lance were talked about in 2019 as a top prospect. That's absolutely right. Rusty, Todd McShay said a few hours ago the Falcons are locked in on Kyle Pitts. We are getting more attention now than we did in 2006. Yeah, they don't know what we're locked in on. I don't believe that. Kristen says Arthur was the behinds of the seats, point blank. Trey, Steve, if they move Jones before Ryan, Stevie Wonder gonna see that as a problem, and the fan base is gonna boycott the team. And I said at point blank, Trey, don't be talking about Stevie, bro. Hey, look, man. Look, I'm gonna tell you something, bro. We cool. You got one more time to talk about Stevie, dog. It don't work over here. I like Stevie Wonder. I'm the best with you. Oh man, I might have said no. I disagree. Matt got 10 to 12 Mr. in this fan group. Wow. They know who they are. That's not a model citizen. Kevin says Pitt's wide receiver masquerading as a tight end at 6'6", 250. It just makes sense to put him in that spot. Not saying this is the move, but I get it. And you know, I keep hearing Kevin where they start talking about is that going to be where you can line him up in the wide receiver and all this and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I want my tight end to be a tight end. Don't get me wrong. If you're versatile enough to move around, it's no different than a back coming out of the backfield doing what Kamara does and come out into 4 receiver set. I get it. But at the same time, I want a guy. Look, we need people up there to put their hand in the ground. I'm sure at 250, 6'6", he should be able to do that and maybe stop some of those fast linebackers from coming around the corner, possibly. But that's what I want out of my tight end. Tidy said Georgia Dome was a football dome. Ben's is an entertainment facility. Absolutely. Isaiah, I wish I might drink some wine at a football game. But you should be able to see that though if y'all go down there. Amani, what's the point of putting Chick-fil-A in the dome? They're not even open on Sundays. Oh man. Like, I don't understand all this love for Pitts. I didn't hear any breaking news every week how great this guy is and how he's played. We don't need him. I'm tired of hearing his name attached to his team. Isaiah says, I will admit that the visitors do pack out the stadium. Christian, Steve, does Bird Gang have a tailgate section? I think it would be a good idea if people want to put some money in for spotting food. I'm down. You hear that, Tidy? I hope you got that down. That's actually not a horrible idea, especially going into this year. Isaiah said, Mercedes-Benz Stadium was the nail in the coffin for the old Atlanta and imposed gentrification on if people were blind to see it here in ATL. Yeah. Yep. The Broncos lined Shannon Sharp up at wide receiver for years, so I'm sure Pitts could do the same thing. And nobody's saying he can't. But do we need a tight end on this team? The answer is no. I'm sorry. Scratch that. We need a tight end. We still need another tight end on the other side. We don't need a tight end at the number 4 position. Number 4 position should be somebody. Look, you're not going to get anybody that's not going to justify a quarterback coming in at number 4. Nobody. You draft a quarterback at number 4, there's not a soul that's going to question you. Offensive lineman, this Sewell guy, who for some reason has become the lost soul in this draft. When people were thinking he was going to be number 2 pick at one time, you don't even hear his name in the top 6. But for a tight end to go that high, I mean, think about it. They got him going. They got Waddle going lower than him. They have the Heisman Trophy guy going better than him. They have Jamar Chase going lower than him. I mean, higher than him. Not higher, lower. I mean, that's just amazing to me. And for the Falcons, again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we don't have a lot of holes to fill. But at the same time, I'm just a believer that at the number 4 position, when you get to positions like that, that tells you it's time for change, folks. It's time for change. And whether he gets on the field or not this year, you set yourself up for the future. So if there's any if there's any truth to the rumor that Terry wants a quarterback, Arthur wants a tight end, I can understand where both would come, especially Arthur Smith, who coaches offense, and say that guy would be phenomenal. But at the same time, I just don't see how you do it. Pitts and trash, no. DeMarcus, as long as it's not Sewell or Matt Jones, I'll be fine. Yeah, I got a feeling it's not going to be either one of them. Tidy said number 4 position today in NFL is typically quarterback or pass rusher, and there are no pass rushers talented enough to take. So let me tell you, you know what, Tidy? I was sitting here thinking, boy, we are a year too late. Remember how we kept winning all those games last year? And think if we could have messed around and got low enough and got Chase Young. Woo! That would have changed some fortunes, folks. because that cat right there basically changed Washington's direction. I know they were 7-9. I'm not naive for that, but he has that defense playing. That cat changed that whole defense in 1 year. Those are the people. And so that's top five. That's what I'm trying to say. Top five folks are people that you want to make a difference. Quarterbacks will always make a difference because they are the most important person on the team. Whether they play day one or year two, they are the most important player on the team. You cannot draft a tight end at number 4. You can't. I'm sorry. Isaiah, so if we're drafting in the middle of the round, would you have been all in for defense? Because the only reason I'm not all in on defense because there are no defensive players are worth a pick higher than 10th. And that's a good point. Listen, there is no doubt that you have a lot of defensive holes to fill on this team. And really, even the guys that they're talking about, Surtain, and here's another person. Remember how everybody was on Parsons? Everybody had Parsons going in the top 2, 3. Has anybody heard Michael Parsons news lately? Ooh. So it just chose to show you the people that, and I remember talking about this earlier, the people that we're talking about in January, some of those cats, not even to be heard of. So things will change. But to your point, yeah, if I was in the middle rounds, yeah, you would probably think a little bit more about maybe the best defensive player on. We still need another guy on the other side of AJ. Grady needs some help on the edges. He's been holding down the middle for so long. Hope we get something from my brother Marlon Davidson. I hope so. I know he had a up and down year with injuries and COVID and stuff like that. But I hope we get something out of him next year. Isaiah, sorry, I missed that. Trey, look, if Kyle Pitts gets drafted to another team by 2021, Madden and put him on the Falcons. That's a thought. Yeah, if y'all want Kyle Pitts that bad, put him on Madden. Anthony, funny part of this draft is so loaded that our second round can still be a first rounder. You're right. And look, there are a lot of receivers. And we haven't talked one time except Tidy, who brought up his lifelong hero, Devontae Freeman. We haven't talked one time about the running back position. I know we started with the Julio stuff. Folks, we need a running back like nobody's business. As well as it is that we brought Mike Davis home and great that he's going to be in the backfield. We need some running because we gotta run the ball. We do. We must run the ball this year. We gotta find a way to do that. Isaiah says Washington's defense is good. I wish we could have gotten Chase. AJ has shown to be the best corner. Look, I'm gonna tell you what, and Isaiah, ask anybody who was in here, man, I was dogging that pick out so bad last year. People called me out at the beginning of the year. Steve, I remember you were dogging him out. I absolutely did. I absolutely did. He is. I am glad the young man is doing well. Isaiah said they trying to kill Parsons stock with that news about hazing. Yeah, I did hear about that too. Sometimes NFL teams feel like they can take folks who might have a little trouble. Dallas lives on that, trying to take people who might have had a couple of little rough patches or something like that. Yeah, I know that kind of hurt them. So, Michael said, I'd say we don't have a number one running back. I say we don't have a number one running back here earlier. Yeah, we don't. We need one. Isaiah, I wasn't a fan of the Davis signing. Davis sign, I know you probably meant Davis. Not for our money situation, but I guess we shall see. Isaiah, yes, I was in the CJ Henderson over AJ. It was wrong too. Absolutely. And look, we're all going to be wrong. But you know what's not going to be wrong? It's not going to be wrong for all of y'all to join me and Tidy and Marcus and Brian and Nicholas in the Atlanta Bird game on Thursday at 7:30. Also, if you don't get a chance to go on here, go on my YouTube channel, Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. Make sure y'all tag some folks. It's going to be fun just like this. It's been great. Look, at the end of the day, I think we all want Atlanta to be successful, which is the one common denominator. We all have different ways of getting there, which is fine. I just like talking to y'all like grown men, and hopefully y'all don't ever take stuff that I say personally. It's all good. It's all in fun, having a good time. Folks, I want y'all to absolutely, yeah, Michael, I don't. I wish I would. You know what I am off, Mike? I'm taking Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. So I'm going to be talking about the draft Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I do have to work, Mike. Mike, don't be bragging because you sitting on some beach living the life and I gotta go in and deliver this mail, man. Don't be messing with me. So but listen, y'all make sure y'all check us out. We are going to have a great time on Thursday. If y'all look, turn on the TV all you want, but turn down the volume. Turn on your iPad, turn on your computer, turn on your PC. Check us out. Get live reaction from local folks. It's cool to see Mel Kiper. It's cool to see all of that. But y'all come check us out. I swear we're going to have a good time. It's going to be good opinions. We're going to have fun. I'm sure we're going to be doing some therapy for people in case we get pits. We're going to be doing therapy for people in case we get a quarterback. So we're here for everybody. Y'all join us Thursday, 7:30. We will start things off live, Atlanta Bird Gang on Facebook, Uncle Steve's Sports Talk. Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge on YouTube. Please subscribe. If you get a chance, you'll get an alert. I appreciate all of y'all joining us. I have been on past 2 hours. Did not mean to be on this long. But again, y'all join us, man. Had a great time tonight. Enjoy talking to y'all. Y'all are cool. We are the fact. I know we got to do something different than rise up, but you know what? It's rise up until we find something different. So y'all rise up, man. Have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Be blessed. Join us Thursday. Join us Thursday. Join us Thursday. We're going to tell y'all that until you're blue in the face. Y'all have a great night, okay? Take care. Peace.